Now, US President Barack Obama has called the international head of Doctors Without Borders to apologise for the deadly bombing of a hospital in Afghanistan. The group is demanding an independent war crimes investigation into Saturday's air raid. Our Nic Robertson joins us now from Kabul. Nic, 3 investigations are already underway by the US, the Afghans and NATO forces, but the MSF wants much more than that. What are they calling for?
They want this independent inquiry, the International Humanitarian Fact-Finding Commission, to spearhead an independent, transparent investigation. Basically, what they want to do, they say, look, we go into conflict zones with our eyes wide open. We talk to all the parties. They say they spent 2 years talking to all sides before they set up the hospital in Kunduz 4 years ago. They find out what the rules of engagement are. They observe them from their side, and they're saying, look, if something has changed in the rules, in the terms of the rules of engagement, then the investigation will find it out. We'll put it on the table, and then we, Doctors Without Borders, can look at that if it's changed and say, OK, we need to change the way we work. Because after all, these are very experienced professional doctors who go into the most dangerous situations possible, put their own lives on the line to help injure civilians caught up in conflict. So here they are saying we can't do that unless we know what we're working with in terms of the rules of engagement and everything else. So let's get that investigation, let's put it on the table, and then we as Doctors Without Borders know if we can be safe or if we can't be safe and we can't do it.
And Nic, this International Humanitarian Fact-Finding Commission has never been used before. Can you explain why not, and what sort of power does it have?
Well, it was something that was created in 1991, and it is there to investigate abuses of international humanitarian law. So it would be the right tool to use in this situation. 76 different nations have signed up to it, not the United States, actually. And it takes a state that has signed up to it to initiate its activity. Now, it's done a lot of training over the years. It's sort of been through the sort of fact-finding scenarios, worked with other organizations to do fact-finding in these sorts of situations. But an investigation like this, they haven't done one of those so far. This would be their first. And so far, no state has actually asked them to do this. Only Doctors Without Borders. And of course, they're not a state.
And Nic, this all comes on the 14th anniversary since the US-led invasion into Afghanistan, an invasion which sought to topple the Taliban. Now a top US general wants troops to stay in the country even longer. Just explain the feeling on the ground there.
There's a real sense among Afghans that the Taliban are getting stronger in places. They're certainly in cities like Kunduz able to show an incredible amount of strength against Afghan forces. People we talked to who were in Kunduz said that they saw the army fleeing in front of them. The US general in charge of US forces here, General John Campbell, said that, you know, in fact, the Afghan National Army, it's getting better, but it has shortfalls, logistics and other areas. And also it's sort of in the battlefield, it's a bit uneven, sometimes good, sometimes not so good. So what we hear from people on the street here is that they also feel that the army here needs more training and more support from an outside force like the US military who are helping and assisting them right now. But of course they say not at the expense of civilian casualties and not at the expense of hospitals being hit. So there are some pretty big caveats built into that. The reality, bottom line, is that Afghans know their own army isn't able to go it alone against this sort of resurged Taliban, increased numbers of ISIS in the country, increased al-Qaeda in the country, all of which 14 years ago were driven out pretty quickly. And also people are asking the question that if you could drive them out that fast back then, after these billions of dollars, what's gone wrong now?
Yeah, very good point. Nic Robertson in Kabul, thank you very much.